Black Lives Matter is an activist movement that is against racism and police brutality against African Americans. This movement originally started in 2013 with the hashtag Black Lives Matter on social media by 3 African Americans called Alicia Garcia, Patrice Cullors, and Opal Tometi, the founders of this movement. The reason this hashtag was made was because a white man called George Zimmerman killed an African American teen called Trayvon Martin. Martin went to buy something from a convenience store, and Zimmerman suspected him of stealing something. He followed him, and problems between the two escalated, which caused Zimmerman to shoot Martin. This movement started becoming very successful when they did a protest on Michael Brown. Michael Brown was shot and killed by a white police officer named Darren Wilson in Ferguson, Missouri, because of a small robbery. Brown was suspected of robbing a store. Protesters chanted, "Hands up, don't shoot," because they believed Brown had his hands up when he was being shot. Blue Lives Matter was a group to go against Black Lives Matter. This group was made in December 2014, because an African American killed 2 New York police. This African American was wanting to get revenge for 2 African Americans that were killed by the police. Some examples of African Americans being killed that triggered a protest was Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old boy that was killed because police thought he had a real gun. Someone called 911 because they saw the boy with the gun. Turns out it was fake. It was only a toy. The 911 dispatcher repeatedly asked what color skin the boy had, which was really racist. All Lives Matter was also made to go against Black Lives Matter. The people that support All Lives Matter feel like Black Lives Matter was ignoring the fact that other kinds of people matter too, and it was selfish to say that Black Lives Matter only. They have the same thought as Blue Lives Matter. It's important to acknowledge that the police also died in the violence. But All Lives Matter misunderstood Black Lives Matter, and they don't really try to understand how the people in Black Lives Matter think. They misunderstood Black Lives Matter as Black Lives Matter only. But what Black Lives Matter was trying to say was that Black Lives Matter too, just like all the other lives, like the police's lives and white people's lives. Blue Lives Matter also don't really understand the purpose of Black Lives Matter. They need to understand how they feel. Black Lives Matter was created because of racism towards black people and how police were being so violent to the black people over the white people. So there isn't really a good side, but they all have to understand each other. Black Lives Matter also needs to understand how All Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter feel and think. Everything they did was for a reason. Maybe the police think that black people are the one that creates all the crimes, so they have to keep a closer profile on them, which leads them to act more violent. And All Lives Matter just misunderstood the Black Lives Matter name. I think this movement is very important because it addresses important issues like violence and racism. It's also very important because you need to understand the thoughts of your opposing side instead of just assuming things, which leads to a lot of misunderstandings. My question is, if the African Americans that were killed were white, would the police not have killed them and acted nicely? Thank you for watching my presentation, and I hope you learned about Black Lives Matter.